causing rifts from now on, it's gonna be the god of fashion. Fashion rifts.
Graph will come in and judge your outfit and say if you're worthy of living or not.
Oh no, Lotus scared away T-Chan.
Oh, it's raining iron.
What? Who's throwing iron?
That's not
It's
safe.
heretic. It's the heretic thief.
Yeah, it's
Not safe.
better to be throwing iron than to be throwing shade. Tish.
See if the spell don't work. Gives you a vein on.
Bloody heretic.
What is that? I've read that book. What does that actually do?
Sometimes nothing. Sometimes
A lot of something.
it's yeah. It's random. Someone else joined.
Wow, how much people are in voice chat? That's a lot.
Oh, Tech, I think you got
Yeah, Tech's got an echo.
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 I don't have any background noise this time.
Oh wow, boy. Ilias is one step ahead of us and is sitting among the patricians' high grounds. God had a pencil, Notch had a highlighter, God...
Okay, guys, I think this is everyone. Thank you everyone for coming to the server meeting. This is the second server meeting that we've had this year, so hoping to get through a couple things. So for those who haven't been to a server meeting before, what we normally do is we run through the board over here on your right. So these are all topics that players have added. So we go through all the topics and discuss them, try to get to the bottom of things, and on top of that, usually we have some other things such as announcements, and we also have time for questions, and you can also bring up things.
Yeah, certainly people should, as we're talking about each subject, please feel free to jump in and, talk or ask questions. Are we recording?
Yeah, we're streaming onto YouTube
Okay.
right now. Yeah, the
Just
links.
making sure. Yep. Good.
The link's up on the Discord. I'll be showing some things on the stream as well, if you guys want to tune into that.
Sure.
Can you get out of my face, please? Thank you.
Okay, so shall we go through the signs first?
Sounds good.
Or go through
Good idea.
Or should we go through announcements first? Because I do have some
No.
announcements.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
Announcements.
Are they good announcements?
I don't know. Depends.
Are they adequate?
Do they involve rifting us?
Maybe.
Almost certainly. It is the age of Rift.
Okay, so we'll go through the signs. So the first sign is named mob issues.
I put that sign up. The one thing I was worried about, which I've talked to a few other people about, is where the name mobs have kind of come out for dungeons and things, and to kind of counteract the fact that most people wear like Prot 4 sets to rifts or things. With the addition of like the freezing debuff, where you have to wear the Terthian hide, if the mobs keep getting stronger, but now our armor has to be weaker, I just foresee that being an issue where you also have to be able to defeat those same mobs to get more Terth hide. I don't know if anyone else shares that, or if it's just me. And also with named mobs at rifts, like the named blazes and magma cubes don't drop blaze rods or magma cream, and then named withers don't drop nether stars, as far as I've been able to see. And those are kind of like...
They actually do drop things. It's just the drop rate is lower for them.
Are you sure? I mean, like, I don't
Yeah.
like bring up...
Yeah, I've come out of the rift killing a few of those blazes that are named and magma creams and such, and yeah, they do drop things. It's just the drop rate is lower because they're mythic mobs.
Okay, then never mind that.
I think the reason why they were set like that was because they were originally intended for dungeons that you could rerun as whenever you wanted, so we didn't want there to be an infinite source of blaze rods and such.
Yeah.
We do want to make more mobs that specifically are for rifts, but we have been pulling over the dungeon mobs to add the extra challenge.
Yeah.
I, for one, am terrified by them.
They
Well,
work.
Well, yeah, on top of that, rifts, at the current stage that we are in right now, rifts aren't really supposed to be a rewarding event, either. I know they were earlier, when they were first popping up, but as Turf's power has grown, and, it's become more about destruction, and, they're not really a gold mine of resources anymore. But I'll write this down as well, and we'll look into it, into maybe increasing the rewards from those, at least with the XP, at the very least.
Can you talk about
What's that, Lotus?
Can you hear me talking now?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason my my Discord's not working right. Okay. Can you explain a little bit better about why there are not so many why the drops are kind of, less and less with the mobs? Why is that? I mean, explain what the theory is.
Well, it's a shift of, I think it's a shift of vision for what's happening on the server right now. So, when we're in the age of gods, where we had the gods in the world, and rifts were nothing but a small distraction or an anomaly that appeared here and there, that was really rewarding for the players, because the rifts weren't very powerful, and the players had the power, and so for that reason, every rift that would come was defeated, and it was rewarding. But as things have progressed, as you guys have experienced firsthand, with Turf's power increasing, it's not really something you want to happen. A rift is not really something you want to see. I'm not sure if that explains it. I've got notes.
Can you hear me talking now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think that explains it. I mean, it's not a negative thing. It's part of the storyline that we're trying to do.
Well, yeah. Well, Turf's coming for everyone right now.
Woohoo!
And, this is not.
I think he... Go ahead.
No, you go.
I think he said like at a mechanical point, the mobs themselves don't drop as much because they were like for dungeons, which could be rerun. So
Yeah.
the whole goal was to kill them a whole bunch and get more chances at drops because you could just keep like rinsing through them.
That's right. That's correct.
Yeah, and at one point it was a problem. The dungeon mobs got broke, and some people were farming the blazes in the dungeon to get as many blaze rods as possible. That's why it's also been bumped down a little bit.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next sign then, because we've covered that, I think. RP issues.
Put that one up as well, and the next one. A little while back when the server meeting first came up, I was just looking for clarification. A lot of the players on the server are pretty hardcore into their RP right now, and it seems to be like their driving factor. But there's been a lot of pushback from the mods that it's just supposed to be like the light RP. I just wanted to get like a clarification on where that would stand.
So, how do you mean, explain what you mean by the mods encouraging a light RP?
Just whenever it came up either in Discord or on the server, we would always kind of get the same message either from Ziev or Schwarz that just said, no, it's just light RP. RP's not driving what the server is doing at all, kind of stuff like that.
Oh.
And I just didn't know, like I haven't been here as long as some of the other players, but I've always thought that this was like an RP driven.
Yeah, it's definitely RP driven.
Okay.
The events that are happening right now are definitely RP driven.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering.
From more recent memory, what I know a time where that was brought up was when like Olympus was like just fighting people at Rifts. They didn't really have a reason. He was just doing it for fun, or Walrus was. And
Oh, yeah.
when like asked about like why it was he was just doing it for fun. Like there wasn't an RP reason. It wasn't because he was worshipping Turth or like fighting with the factions. He was just doing that. And then when we said, well, there should be a reason for it, because like RP reason, that's what the fighting should come from. We got a message saying, well, it's a light RP server.
Yeah.
I mean, there was more to. I can't remember the actual message. I just know like within the first sentence or two, it was this is an RP light server. I remember from like back into like Aura Star and after that the Age of Darkness, or PvP was always like either it was being done because like I'm gonna bring up Bosca, but they were like Turthian worshipping, so they were killing anybody who was not. At least that was their cover for the PvP. At least there was like a reason for it, but
Yeah. Well, is there an issue here?
That was just kind of my issue. The reason I put it up was just I wanted clarification on like where the server was as a standing on if it's RP based or not, just because of the pushback we got.
Yeah, it is RP based, yes.
Okay.
Narratively, I mean, we've got mechanics in the background, but a lot of it's driven by RP.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Peaceful faction, guys. Peaceful factions.
That was brought up around the same time. A few people had questions about it as well. I know somebody said that it used to be a thing. I don't know if it is anymore, or if there's a plugin to create yourself as a peaceful faction, but I think that's something a few people would be interested in.
Well, over the years, we've had peaceful factions, and they have caused problems for us on the staff side of things. You know, like, you know, this person's peaceful, but they're trading with this person who's warring me. You know.
Yeah.
So we kind of flat out don't do peaceful factions anymore, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry to say, yeah, we're not doing peaceful factions, everyone. So if you do want to be a peaceful faction, I think the best thing is to just invoke yourselves as being peaceful, and most of the time people will leave you alone if they know you're a peaceful group of players, you know.
Okay.
Where's Lotus? She's still having problems. Lotus, hello.
Can you hear me talking now? Okay, finally. Okay. Sorry.
No
Having
problem.
technical difficulties today. I don't know why. I shouldn't, but
So what's the next sign? Do you want to bring up the next sign? Comment on Fort Oak. It's not very specific. Who wrote this one? Okay. Okay, we've already talked about the mythic mobs giving XP towards the hunter job. I guess that still falls into the named mob issues. So we've spoken about that. Reinstate death signs where signs appear at death. That's a very specific plugin that we only use during the Age of Darkness. So until we actually have an Age of Darkness, we won't be using that plugin. When gods come back, can we have more direct interaction?
Oh, that was me. This is more or less just from like ages past. I have never actually experienced it in like the ages that I've played on, but I remember people saying back at like pre-Oristar, you would actually have like the gods you wouldn't make an offering and then wait for them to show up. They might actually just show up and like walk around and like look at your stuff, or just like communicate with the people. Not so much gods, but just like the demis and stuff. I know Denshin walked around Arcwind a lot. Just stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know what you guys plan on doing in the ages to come. I mean, that could be something you're already doing, but I just didn't know if there are any plans for stuff like that.
Did someone mention my name?
Who's that?
Arrows, aka former Denshin.
Oh,
Oh, here it is.
how you doing?
Whoa, you get the devil.
I'll just speak to that. Most of the gods are gods and deities and whatever are not assigned to anybody. And currently, I think still Stand-in's the only one, right? Assigned
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody else. Because they're not on.
It's not really an Age of Gods right now. We're not in an Age
Right.
of Gods.
I know. Well, I know now it's not. That's why this is more like a sign for the future, like things to come.
Well,
Yeah.
when we
Like
move
whenever, I guess, they come back.
when we move over to Dern, we're not going to have any gods either. It won't be until.
Lotus, we haven't spoke about Dern yet.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Secrets?
Well, no, not really a secret, but
No, I'm joking.
Yeah. So to answer your question, that's not going to happen for a little while.
Okay.
2 months maybe. I know there was some interaction with making offerings and things, but we're kind of holding on that too.
Well, I mean, there's like RP reasons why that's not happening anymore. But like before that, like when we were making offerings, like stuff would appear in the chest or like stuff would happen around, but you never actually saw any.
Right.
Like there wasn't any like direct communication. It was just like a sign that would appear, and then you could read the sign.
Right, and so right now, you know, all the gods have been kind of put on hold. That's been put on hold.
yeah, whenever Turf's power increases, the gods withdraw. But yeah, as you were saying,
No,
it's
I
something for the
understand
future. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I forgot Teachin's here too. Huh. Sorry, Teachin.
So,
Okay, that's the end of mine.
Cool. Yeah, if we get to another stage in the story or in the on the server, I'm sure we'll bring that back if we get to another lot age. But all right,
Definitely.
here's a fun one. Daniel needs a ban.
Is Turtle still on?
It's true. He doesn't seem to be in voice chat.
I think Turtle. I know Turtle put that one up. I told him he probably shouldn't for a server meeting, but go get it, Turtle.
Was it a joke?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's not a joke. Okay.
I did hear some colorful stories about Daniel lately.
No, he's really upset.
Oh, he left. I think he's gone now. Wait, is he?
Well,
Yeah, he's not in the voice chat now.
Who put it up there?
Turtle was Turtle.
It was him.
And Turtle's not here.
Not that I know of.
That you
Oh.
guys, that kind of stuff, really, you need to have private chat, with us about that. And don't put that on the board. I mean, we're not gonna discuss somebody. If you want to talk about something, that's kind of be doing that in private.
Okay, good to know.
And then I'll talk to it doesn't matter. But I don't think a server meeting's a good place. Do you, Drac?
Probably not. At least not to make a decision.
Did not do it.
Yeah. We'll talk about it
I mean,
later
if you have
in PM.
If you have specific concerns that Dan is doing some kind of behavior that you want everybody to know and you want to discuss it, but not Dan specifically. Do you know what I mean? Sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. We'll move on to the next one.
Don't sling shade.
Reaching the gods by manifesting our prayers in physical form, thus breaking through Tirth Vale by the holy act of creation.
No, that was kind of an RP one by me, because me and who else was it discussing?
Me, Psycry, yeah.
Discord today,
Yeah,
like,
it
okay,
was me.
it was more of an RP and like, hey, we could do a creative thing.
Yeah, I'm talking about the faction meeting. No, that's not faction meeting. For Discord meeting. Before.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah,
Yes.
hi everyone. Hi. Just one thing to say. Tech, I don't mean to do any harm to anybody. What I'm trying to do here is just ease the situation by me leaving the server for a while and letting everyone cool off. I don't want to hurt anybody, and believe me when I say that, all I've just done is basically try to make the situation calm down.
What?
Okay, so here's another example. Like, you guys, we need to talk about this kind of in private, not private chat, not here.
So, no, it's the fact that I just kind of, I'm sorry I'm bringing up in the middle of a full meeting. Of actual faction meeting, but it's like I kind of need to just let Tech know this. That
Okay.
I'm just.
That's fine, but just we can't discuss it right now because we gotta talk about things that everybody But we'd be happy to talk
But
to you.
the
in
issue
private.
he's bringing up is actually going to be because he's been speaking to me is about getting my spawn moved from. Basically, I logged off because sorry VV. I'm sorry. I'm talking to somebody else at Skype at the same time. But basically. But basically, what I'm going to say right now is what happened is that basically he said, firstly about all right, leave it.
Get to it.
Do you know what you want to? Well, why don't we come back to that? Drac?
Yeah, we'll worry about that later, huh?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Right now, let's get through this board stuff, and then at the end we can discuss more.
Okay, so the RP thing. I guess this question is whether or not doing something like that will make a difference to anything. Of course, anything you guys do.
It wasn't really even about making a difference to me, but just like, hey, let's get together and build holy things with prayers because it's fun and creative. It's really
Yes,
my main concern.
I agree, 100%. It's great.
I had mentioned to Mason. This might not be a good place for it, but Blackguard Tower is a giant obsidian obelisk tower that could be used.
Do the
We could deck that thing out like in prayers, offerings, and all that. It would be a nice RP thing. Also.
Yeah.
Well, there's also at the moment there's a bedrock egg on the side of it from a meteor.
We got a tiny little meteor hitter corner.
It's just like chilling out on the side.
Cool.
It's waiting.
There's a few of them around.
Okay,
so what I'm hearing people say is that maybe trying to build up a little more role play, because I agree that we've been doing a lot of riffs, but you know, maybe if you guys wanted to stir up a little more role play.
That and
awesome.
Combining role play with building stuff. That's
Yes.
pretty much what I do.
Awesome.
I build shit for role play reasons because why else?
Agreed.
all right. Well,
Hello?
Hello. Hi.
Oh, good. It's finally working.
Welcome.
I apologize. I had some problems with my microphone.
No problem.
That's okay. I know how it is.
Oh boy, Age of Floods.
Please don't bring that up. Oh,
Yo, that was me and Grum like last night. I suggested Movecraft, but he said something about that and I just found it interesting. Like, I don't think Movecraft would be that hard to implement it except for like making it work with factions and all of that, but it might be cool. I don't think it takes that much RAM or server usage. Just an idea.
What is it? Can you explain it to me? Or
So
us?
like, Movecraft is kind of like this plugin that allows you to like put signs on ships and allows you to like move them with chests and all of that. And it allows you to make different types of ships and all of that go at different speeds across the ocean.
Age of Floods. Age of Floods has been a meme for years.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about the Age of Floods. Cold Wave made the drain.
I remember the I forget what town name it was out in Shady Sands. Like Senior Cookie went over and told him, "Hey, you need to build an ark. There's going to be an Age of Flood," and they did it.
I got memed. Wow, okay, never mind. Then you can just remove those signs.
Yeah. And plus, there can't be an Age of Floods because of the drain. So.
Yeah.
Cold Wave got us. Respect.
But Blood Happy had a drain.
We protect. No, Cold Wave. Well, I don't know. It's changed hands, I think, but Cold Wave built it.
Yeah.
I did not build drain.
Appropriate local and private chat.
Okay, that was me. And I brought this up before, but I'm going to bring it up again. I would think that most of you know that when you're talking in local chat, that everybody can hear what you're saying generally.
200 blocks. It's only within 200 blocks.
Yes.
That was 300.
So if you're talking and you're talking about other people, then that needs to be private chat. Do you know what I'm saying? You need to like talk with you and someone else. I think, you know, it's perfectly fine to discuss things when you kind of get upset about whatever, but I'm seeing in chat a lot of discussion about moderators.
I thought the rules were that you could speak about pretty much anything in local, but it was global that had to be censored from curses and anything dirty, and you can't, you can't spam it.
Yeah, that too. But I just think that if you're going to talk about somebody and you're upset or or venting or whatever, you know, I think talking privately on Discord is probably a better idea. I mean, because you know, people can read it and they're hearing it, and it's kind of disrespectful.
You're pretty much next to each other, but within two chunks.
Yeah.
I think maybe Lotus means around Spawn, like Spawn in general. There's people there who aren't involved, and they overhear things. So if there's bad things are being said, it kind of spills over into them. So
yes.
So sorry. Are you all planning to amend the bylaws to make this a thing?
No, you
Been
know
a
what?
long time.
We're a this is a kind of a small group, so we talk about things at these server meetings, and just generally we need to be polite with each other and nice,
Do you all seek to enforce keeping it on private chat in Minecraft, or is this just something you'd like to see, like you wish for it to happen, but you're not going to enforce it?
Yeah, we're not enforcing it. It's just,
We could put you in jail. I'm kidding.
Get silenced.
We just try to keep it light,
Understand.
If we had a big, huge group, if we had like 100 people or something, and it really needed to be reinforced, we could do that. But I think people should be able to talk, and I think people should be able to vent, and but just not so that the moderators can hear or read it, because the moderators do read it. I know you think maybe you're talking privately, but really you're not.
You mean that the moderators teleport over there to hear you, right? Or is there some sort of...
they can do everything. They see it all.
There's a spy thing that they can see all PM chat, all local chat, and all global chat.
They can't see PM.
Private message one's kind of creepy.
Oh wait, they can.
I know. Yeah, you can, Drag, but
There's a way, yeah.
I understand why the moderators would want to hear local chat, to hear private chat. I think that's a little bit of a step.
I can't hear private chat. I don't know who can.
the only person that can is Drag.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
He has the power.
Big
Yes.
brother.
But I'm sitting there a lot of times because I'm here on the server quite a lot, and I just hear people going on and on. And it's just like, wow, if they only knew we're sitting right here.
The video Minecraft noob adventures.
What?
In the
series
meme channel.
In Minecraft first came out called Noob Adventures, and it was a art video like an hour long. And one of my favorite lines from it makes me think of you, where they were discussing with some players, and one of the comic relief guy speaks up and says, "Wait a minute, girls play Minecraft?"
What?
Wow, good thing Zay's not here.
I'm joking. I know girls play
I know.
Minecraft, but
I
in the
know.
video it was hilarious because of that.
I get it.
Wait, can I interject for a fairly important thing?
Sure.
Sure,
there's
that's
like
why you're here.
6 through 9 meteors last night that hit a lot of bases. Have all of them been endlessly spawning tormentors, or is it just a few?
Hallican has had the tormentor issue as well.
Do they fly through the sky and stuff, or do somebody just use world edit and pop a circle?
World edit.
It did the same thing with Nighthawks. Or Nightwolves, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
First, I hope you feel better soon.
I'm sorry, I have vocal cord damage. So this is as good as it gets, folks. I normally don't talk, but this is one of those things that we noticed last night that Nightwolves got it. It just kept respawning the tormentors. Somebody had come by, tore down the wall, and it was loose again, so we had to recontain it. And it's kind of a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Drake, are we done with everything on the wall yet?
Hold on a second.
On the wall.
Pardon me? Pardon me?
Hi.
Wait, let's, we should probably finish what's on the board first, and then talk about other stuff.
Someone must have torn it down.
It was concern of the board.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry if it's hard to understand me. I've had a stroke. And
so sorry,
getting
sir.
back into Minecraft.
No problem.
I tried typing in regular chat and was not responded to.
I have an old friend at my church
Oh,
who
my Lord.
she didn't have a stroke.
That's great, sir. I apologize earlier for the interruption of one of my faction members, but the meteors and turfs or rifts that spawn, are they part of a plugin, or are they staff generated?
No, sir. They're spawned manually by World Edit. The mods make themselves. The Dracortha plays Turf, and he turns invisible, and he uses World Edit to spawn pillars. And uses eggs for gas. It's basically a creative mode. It's not a mod. It's all done by hand, which is one reason it's so cool.
Okay. Has any staff or does staff, we contained one of the meteors and the area the following day was unclaimed, and it was way too square of a cutout where we contained the meteor and tormentor. It was done by cut and paste or just cut out. Does staff do that?
I don't think
for
so.
any good reason?
F player.
Well, I'm assuming it's supposed to represent a crater.
Well, yes, we covered it up to contain the mob. The following day, less than 8 hours, the area was now unclaimed. We are far enough away from every other faction area to not worry about.
You all died.
Huh.
Yeah.
The entire faction of Nighthawk died.
Yeah. I heard about that.
Power and somebody unclaimed it.
Yeah, I don't know who did that. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. We're not sure who did that, so we're sorry. But Jack, are you going to be able to fix that?
If I can, real quick, something that Eden had happened to it, kind of similar, like only within a square radius of exactly 4 square chunks. All of like the torches disappeared and random blocks disappeared one night, along with a couple chests.
Pretty sure that's supposed to represent the impact to the meteor, like in 1908.
Well, no, it wasn't from a. It wasn't from a meteor turtle. It just happened. All ours disappeared.
Yeah, the meteor had already been contained, and the tormentor had also been contained, but the owner of the faction I had to notify because his faction is connected 2 chunks away from ours. We share resources.
Well, I've just claimed back the night. I've just claimed back their base now for you. I'm not too sure how that happened, but I don't think that was that wouldn't have been a staff thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you feel better, sir. How recent was your stroke?
A whole left side of my body and speech.
And it happened about
How old are you?
2 months ago.
40 years old.
Grandkids?
We need to get back to the meeting.
My concern, because I had a churchgoer that had a stroke, and
that's great.
had a stutter.
I want to finish the meeting, please.
Yeah, let's stay on track, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, the rift on.
Sign was taken off the board because I put up a sign.
Oh.
Get on with it.
The rift on Mementori needs to be discussed.
Memento Mori.
Kelhawk.
Yeah, that
this
was
is yours.
me. Yep. So I'm just curious about that, mainly because, in my opinion, it's one of the best builds on the server, and it was completely fucking ruined.
Well, it wasn't.
Also,
but
yeah, it was. I looked at it, dude. Also,
your faction area should be reclaimed.
Also, shit, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I just don't understand why it was done, because it was technically it's supposed to be they don't even PvP. They don't, like, what was the point to that? That's what I want to know. because that was my favorite build on the whole server, and
Well,
now it's completely fucking gone.
Which
It was hit by a rift, right?
Yeah.
By the god of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it hit by the Mega Rift?
No, it was a separate rift a few days ago.
Which day? Yesterday? The day before? 3 days ago?
Also, there were barely any players on Fight That's Rift as well.
Yes, that's happening. Yes.
Yes, that is very commonplace, and also, I think that whenever a rift occurs, it should be at least announced in Discord.
They can't always
at
be
the very
Should be
least.
announced in the global chat like something dark is coming, like it used to do.
Well, it's always announced. It always says that a screech is heard throughout the world. It's announced on the server,
It hasn't recently.
but nobody else.
Yesterday there was a little tiny rift out near Oak's Rest.
Yeah, so we
I
got.
just
we got
heard guests.
Yeah, we got an explanation from the mods about that. They said anything that like basically a handful of people can handle, they weren't gonna send out notification for because it's the age of rifts, guys. Like it's gonna happen a lot, or like some of the invasions that have been happening.
The rift,
Yes, you're
the
correct.
rift,
I think that's a bad
But
idea.
yes,
there needs to be
Cal.
an announcement every rift.
the rift that
happened
occurred,
on that one was
Memento
huge,
Mori, that one was huge,
and there was
no
like
one knew about
7
it.
people on, and that's like absurd. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But the Age of Rifts, I mean, according to the lore, or according to what we're following, the roleplay, the Age of Rifts is less announced, more rifts, everything's gonna go, kind of thing. That's the way it is. I mean, I had things that were rifted. Zay and Fen had piles of things that were rifted. Everybody's being rifted. It's not just, you know what I mean? It's not just one single person.
Well,
but there was at least
it affects new players when they come to spawn, and they end up getting in the middle of it. So, right there, new players that don't know much about the server that want to try it out have issues.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go in the screenshot, Salt posted one. A guy literally got killed by a tormentor before his new player message even disappeared.
Oh wow!
So
yeah, it said like Golden Noodle joined, or Golden Noodle logged in, made the achievement shooting up, has joined for the first time, has been killed by tormentor.
Wow.
I mean, I don't
We'll
think
have
he was.
to say,
He
you're gonna
wasn't
have to
upset
move the
about
spawn
it.
point.
He wasn't upset about it. Like I saw later, he was like talking. He's like, "Nice builds," and then like he was talking with. I think was it you site?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So he wasn't upset about it, but I mean,
Don't get
other
rifted.
people might be.
I mean, I've attempted to like tell them to like take the orange blimp and get out as fast as they can, or just stay here. But yeah, most of the time.
Like that individual guy wasn't upset about it, but I mean, I don't know.
There could
I
be
mean,
more.
I'm sure, like with the current state, spawn's gonna be moved soon, so it's not that big of an issue. But like, I took the screenshot and thought it was kind of funny.
I just think that in the future, rifts should be a little bit more well thought out, and there should also be announcements on the Discord and on the server as well. And
Every rift should be announced.
There should be a
it should
big
also-
portion of consideration when it comes to rifts, because if I need to be afraid that the things I've invested and constructed over a long period of time is about to get flattened and leveled to the ground, I would love to be present at the time to try to save
Yes.
what little I can.
Exactly.
yeah, I mean,
There's a lot of artifacts in the tavern that I really don't want to lose. Just to a rift that happens
A
at
rift
5
should always
a.m.
occur outside of town, like some sort of storytelling reason that Turf can't rift a city, but he can rift right outside the town and move towards the city. That's what he used to do. I remember when
Yeah,
there
but
was in
what's
the
happening? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what's happening now is that we're shifting. We're in the time of rifts. It's going to start being more and more often, kind of a surprise, you know, that kind of thing. And the other thing is that the town, Oak's Rest, we built the wall around it, but still the rifts are coming inside. And that's
The
part of the
rifts
story.
spawn around the wall and try to breach it. That's part of the game.
Well, they didn't. There wasn't really so much of a rift, but there was a meteor strike. That's correct.
Yeah, meteor strikes
The
are
meteors
different.
from directly hitting bases. Got to remember, in real life, meteors are completely random. No human has ever been killed by a meteor. The only recorded death in history was one dog. So, I personally think the meteors, as a matter of principle,
Yeah, but this is still a
nearby.
video game.
Total, this is a game. Logic does not apply, so shh.
Example, I know it's not, but I'm saying if a meteor collides directly into some dude's base, then their stuff is gone.
It's not going to be up to chance, it's up to a person's live, willing choice where it lands.
I have a question
It is
for you guys.
discretion.
I have a question. Okay, how long have you guys been playing this server?
God,
Since
Long
July
enough.
2012.
When was that?
I don't remember
2012.
the year of it, but it was
Yes, the
Yeah,
first Age of
I
Darkness.
joined early. I joined about 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I joined last year.
mid through Orstar, so like, what was that 2013? Something like that.
Okay, well,
So many of you know what the process is and how we
and,
go
ma-
through the
and many
different
and many
ages.
of you should know that if you've been here long enough, you will know that it can get a lot worse, right?
Never seen an Age of Rifts before, so this is all new to me.
Personally, if I may cut in, when it comes to, I know the process of the different ages usually means that there's a huge calamity destruction event that just causes the spawn to change somewhere else. People have to flee. That's okay. But this is, as far as I'm concerned, a little bit the first time where rifts have caused a destruction on a major scale as it has now. Oak's Rest
Yes.
was beautiful, and now it's not even a tenth of its original size, let alone a tenth.
Did, but I understand why it was done. I mean, spawn point. The entire reason Turf rifts a spawn point, that's where everybody shows up. And if he can take the spawn point down, you're spawning in the middle of mobs everywhere. I'm like, there's a storytelling reason that Oak's Rest got nailed.
Yeah, it's because
That's correct.
anyway, but like I think what at least what I'm most upset about is like, yes, we've all been on for a while, and yes, we know how it all happens, but like there's lore behind certain things, like, you know, with Night Guard Tower, which Salt never talked about, it's completely out of obsidian. The meteor struck and stayed pretty much on the outside exclusively because there's some sort of lore behind obsidian, but then at Hallekin it smashed right through 2 thick walls of obsidian and straight into where I literally kept everything I've ever made since I restarted, and just like ruined that shit.
And the meteor can't go through obsidian. If it takes like a full 60 seconds for 1 block of obsidian to be breached by diamonds. Zombies, back in the first Age of Darkness, I was told rumors that zombies broke obsidian, and that took them butt tons of time. So I'm going to have to agree with the gentleman. The stories go that rifts, they don't spawn in the city, they attack a city. The meteors are a different kind of attack from Turf. The Turf, as the story goes, can't directly attack an inhabited area. He has to spawn outside it and make his way in.
Are you saying that there is an issue that rifts are not following a consistent basic rule?
Rule. Every rift I'd seen before the Age of Rifts, all they did, every rift that existed would appear. They could appear anywhere, but Turf liked to attack cities. So he would always spawn a rift.
It's different here. You know, he can attack. He might attack anywhere. It's a surprise. Now, Eris, getting back to what you said. Yeah, we've been discussing that and talking about it. And I've heard it from many people that you're worried about your stuff. You're worried about what will happen to it. Drat,
I mean,
can you talk
there's
about
a difference between losing your stuff because of a rift and a rift spawning on top of your stuff, or a meteor hitting your stuff.
Right.
Like if let's say outside the Khanate that the Terminator Horde, which I run, if there was a rift right outside that area, and we were not able to stop the rift in time, and it ate my house, if there's a meteor or a rift, and I'm sitting I'm sitting in my house looking out the window, and boom, there comes the rift right in the city next to me, and my stuff is gone.
Right.
That is probably what the gentleman is complaining about.
Yes.
There needs to be a chance, always needs to be a chance to hit it. So, I mean, every rift I've ever seen before this age of rifts always happened outside a city, or either outside a city or in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And that was part of the story.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, and your concerns are legitimate. If there are, I discussed this with Drac too. If there are specific people with specific things that happen, probably, or you have concerns where you're really worried about something, then probably, sitting down and talking to Drac, or finding a specific time separate from this meeting and discussing it with him would be a good idea. You know what I mean?
I think it was Mastermus that brought it up.
Yeah, no, I mean anybody. That kind
Just
of thing.
said I agree with him completely.
If he
always occur outside of cities.
Yeah.
That's not what I said.
Unless they're in the middle of nowhere.
But these kind of things, maybe you could negotiate and talk with him, and we could figure something out. If you got really upset. Now, my understanding, from Zay, is that if you bury your stuff more than 10 blocks below, it doesn't get destroyed. Is that what it is, Jack?
That's not true. We had two withers spawn in our bedrock bunker once and just blow everything up. So.
Okay.
Withers? How do withers spawn in a bunker?
Yeah, that was a little different. That was we're not going to talk about that. We're
How about if
I don't remember that.
Their spawner? I didn't know there was such a thing. No.
All right. Well. So I had a bit of an announcement to make, guys, and I don't know how you guys are going to feel about it, but it needs to be brought up because the situation with the rifts are obviously getting out of hand, and they're out of control, obviously, because Turth is the destructor. He's the god of destruction and chaos.
Always been.
So
no kidding.
I'm going to present to you guys your options, okay? In this current situation. You can keep fighting Turth, right? But he's going to keep getting stronger at this point, and there's going to be more chaos.
Not if you break his core in a mega rift. That'll cause scars on his.
Can you let Dracoulta finish, please?
Just let him finish.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
If you keep fighting Turth, the risk is that the ancient world is going to plunge further into devastation and darkness. But there's also a very small chance of an opportunity to defeat Turth and send him back to his realm. But like I said, that's a very small chance, and it could there's probably still going to be a lot of destruction and darkness along the way. The secondary option, which is the one I recommend you guys do, is to surrender to Turth and sacrifice yourselves. Basically, you're dead. You take all of your souls, and you will all be transported to Limbo for a period of time.
Okay, sounds fun. I'm down for that.
Seriously?
I'm bringing popcorn.
Right. Turth has been attacking for 7 years, and if will stop because you give him your immortal soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a trap, of course.
Well, I mean, you guys are going to be. What will happen is your souls will be taken away from. Your souls will be taken away from the ancient world for several centuries, so you won't be able to come back for a while. And when you come back, everything's going to be different.
Down the server.
It's like the story of Oristar.
No, it's part of the story. Let him finish. Let him talk, okay? So he gets through it. You're going to be able to come back and get your stuff, is what he's saying.
I'm not getting my soul. No, I'm not giving my soul.
Yeah, soul's kind of a strong word. You're going to be in limbo. You're going to be
even my fictional soul.
Well, there's another way to look at it. We're going to be playing while since all of you are dead and such. We're going to be exploring a separate timeline. Back when Oak's Rest was destroyed by the Super Rift, there was a split. That's where the timeline split. So one part of the population stayed behind and built Fort Oak, and they fought Turth one-on-one. But the other side of the population split, and they took a ship and they sailed away and they escaped. And we'll be following the timeline of those people.
So who are these people supposed to represent?
wait, let us finish for a minute, okay? So what happens is the story is that this is kind of a time. You have to understand the timeline. People are here fighting Tirth and trying to get back to Oak's Rest and so on, but the fantasy, the story is going to go to people jumping into a boat or something and sailing away, and then coming to this new place where they're going to try to exist. That's no longer going to be the Age of Rift. Is that correct? Am I saying
Yes,
that right?
it's an escape from the Age of Rift. It's an escape from Tirth. So this is the way to do it.
Is it optional?
No, you're not. When he says people are going to be here fighting at Oak's Rest, he means that all of us are going to go over on the boat and go to this new place. But in the timeline, people are still fighting at Oak's Rest. That's just kind of a fantasy. That's part of the. Am I saying it right? It's hard.
Yes,
meanwhile,
that's correct.
Sort of a meanwhile kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's
yes,
correct.
Yes.
We're just gonna pretend there's still people there.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, with that explained, this is how we're going to do it in terms of the lore and in terms of the story, but there's also a mechanical reason why this has to actually happen. As you guys know, the aquatic update is coming in a few months, and it's going to require a lot of map work on the Ancient World map, which means that if we don't move now, there's going to be downtime on the server, and we don't want downtime. So
You're going to create another partition on your server that we can play on
Correct.
while you're updating the real thing.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
But that's not the that's not the story.
Yeah.
That's a sideline.
Yeah.
But we're gonna stick to the other.
You to update the server to the next patch of Minecraft.
Yes.
That's correct. So when we're all done playing the separate timeline, when we're all done there, you'll come back to the Ancient World and there'll be new things to explore.
That's
And
what the petition was about.
It's making another patch anytime soon.
that's correct.
Will we be starting fresh?
Yes, it's a fresh start. You're playing different characters in a different
Yes.
realm.
I was about to ask about that.
So like everything, like armor, everything, you would just basically spawn in like a new person with nothing.
Yep.
Then I have additional questions.
Yes.
It's only
that
temporary,
means
right? Shh. Time to build Minecraft.
Yes.
Let us talk, please.
that means like all the faction bases, all the claims on all the other places of the lands are gone because we will be constrained to this one new place.
Yes.
It's only temporary though. Ancient World will be back.
Yeah, the Ancient World will be back. Yeah.
Right.
And
Because
Drek,
I'm just.
can you explain? We didn't get to that yet. Can you kind of explain what it's going to look like and
Sure.
what's going to happen and what people are supposed to do, etc.
Well, if you come look at the stream, I'm going to be showing a few pictures of the new lands.
You can like generate a whole new world, like a new map.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I'll put the link in the chat for the stream. Check that out. It'll be up in a second.
That'll be a fun break, I think. I think that's something that could be a lot of fun while we're waiting.
Yeah, well, it's better than server downtime.
Down that long?
Well, it's a lot of work. It takes days and days to move data and stuff, and obviously we don't want to shut the server down for all that. So.
Server.
Okay, so here we go, guys. Here's the first image.
I don't see anything yet.
It'll be up on there in a second.
Anyway.
There's a short delay. You'll see the name of the lands as well on the image.
Yeah, there.
Where's the thing? The YouTube thing?
It's in the chat, and it's also on the Discord. I'll put the link in.
Minecraft chat.
Yep, and once the
I'm sorry. You can just click on. Yeah, it's in chat.
Thank you.
And you just click on it, and it automatically goes to it.
And once the meeting's over, I'll put all the screenshots in the screenshot section of the Discord, so you guys can look at it, get a closer look. Here's another image. So we're going to be making a return of mob zones. If any of you who remember the continents, the way mob zones worked, you wouldn't find monsters wandering around the hillsides or anywhere at night. They'd only be at mob zones. So if you want to kill zombies, you go to a ruin and you kill the monsters in the ruin. So this is one example of a mob zone, which is an old fort.
Is this the resurrection of that old idea when there was this whole creative?
Familiar with those. I think
where
Blue
people
Peaks is one,
people
right?
could build things.
Yeah, Blue
to
Peaks, yeah.
Submit them for a new land.
Sorry, say that again.
Is this kind of a resurrection of the old idea where there was going to be a new land and people were all building things to submit to it in creative?
Yeah, this is the same land that we've been working on for the last 2 years. So it's been a long time coming.
How long is this new map you're generating? It's a temporary thing while Ancient World's being updated. How long are we going to be playing that? From where to where?
We will probably play it for... Well, when the aquatic update hits for Minecraft, we plan on releasing another continent. So you'll be playing on Shorokov Dern up until aquatic update hits. Then there'll be a second continent, and you guys will be able to escape from Shorokov Dern onto the new aquatic continent, and there will be a different theme. It'll be just a different feel altogether. And we'll have all the new water mobs and the new block types, the coral reefs, all that stuff.
Oh, wow, that's I haven't even heard of this water update.
Yeah, there's...
So timeline is going to be something like March, April, May, and then the aquatic comes in June.
Yes, the Age of Rifts is still
like
the Age of Rifts is going to continue until March. So we'll have a specific release date for this when we have it.
Right.
Actually, what I want to do is I want to organise another server meeting for in another 2 weeks, and I'll give you guys an exact date on when we're going to be doing this, so you guys can know about it.
And then
I'm not really into the idea of it lasting too long, because I joined the server for the Ancient World, and the Ancient World's had all the cool stuff to explore and stuff. I love that.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't want that to go away for too long.
Sorry to interrupt you. So during this time, and Drek didn't really get to explain this, during this time that we're on Dern, can you explain, Drek, what people will be doing and what it's going to kind of look like a little bit more?
Okay, well, first we'll talk about the backstory of Shorokov Dern. Shorokov Dern is the birthplace of evil, so it's not going to be a fun, run through the tulips kind of thing.
Yeah, no Disney World.
It's not Disneyland.
More like Dark Souls.
It's kind of like Dark Souls, I guess, is a good way to put it.
Ooh, I like that.
It's going to be
dark. I can barely play Minecraft.
It's going to be very dark. It's going to be dangerous. More details on that soon, though. It will all be up on the blog. We'll have information dumps on there, and you guys will get a good understanding of it before we get there.
When you say Dark Souls, when you compare something to Dark Souls, you mean it's going to be hard.
That's not.
I think it's more the feel, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not, it's all in role play. It's supposed to be fun.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be something really different. I have to admit, I got kind of arguing with everybody because I'm like, what happens to the trees and all the things that I like, and what do you mean I can't bring my stuff? We've been discussing all that, but now that I've kind of been immersed in it a little bit more, I'm starting to understand, more of what's trying to be done here. Obviously, we're going to trying to survive on nothing, and here's another thing too. People are going to have to get along with each other. We're going to have to work together. There's not going to be factions anymore. There's going to be more of a mixing up everybody together. And there's also going to be obviously places that you're going to go to. You're going to.
Yeah, and it's all temporary. Once the update's up.
Yes, but there's still going to be dungeons. You're going to find things, and mobs are going to drop things for you to use. So you're sort of replacing.
It's like you go in single player, click new map and stuff.
Yeah, but your friends are all going to be there, and we're all going to work together, and so on.
So much.
Can I ask a question about it?
Sure.
How is God worshipping to happen there? Is it, like, non-existent? Because
There's no
of
gods.
church?
There's no gods in this land. It's godless. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like being in limbo for a little while. Being
This
in
was
a
the
place...
birthplace of Turf, though. I thought the story said Turf hails from the Nether.
Yes, this is the well. See,
Breached it with a portal.
Shorokov Dern is the. Okay, think of the dimensional veils, right? You've got the ancient world realm, and then you've got Turf's dimension. Shorokov Dern sort of sits in between, sort of like a cork in a bottle. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I get it. So like sort of like the Aether in that mod.
I haven't played that mod, but
Or
it's not quite Turf's realm, and it's not quite the ancient world. It's sort of in between.
so it's like
Upside down.
say you step into a Nether portal and the Nether portal's kind of busted, so you end up halfway between the
Yeah,
Nether and
that's
Turf.
where it is. Yeah, that's where it
That's
is.
gonna be like a lot of Nether rocks and stuff still.
It's going to be
There are
more.
layers to the world.
Yeah.
By the look of it.
If you look at this picture here, I don't know if you guys can see it on the stream yet. There's some fires around and there's water flowing. That's where you're starting in a shipwreck. Actually, not even a shipwreck. You're going to be
Cool.
you begin submerged at the bottom of the ocean in a sunken ship, and you have to swim to the surface and escape because the ship
That was
that
really cool.
the ship that you were riding in sinks. We're going to have videos about this too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gonna
Accidentally passes through a portal, like the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
I think
Yeah.
this is kind of supposed to be a sort of physical location, but curiously corrupted and
Yes.
ethereal in a sense.
When you guys are playing there, it's up to you guys how to interpret all of it. You know, it's nothing set in stone. It's all player driven. So it's up to you guys what this really
I'm
is.
imagining this like Demon Souls and that whole business with the fog swallowing the land.
I personally think instead of it being you give your souls to Turf, I think the story should be that it's not actually what happened. We're going to pretend there was a rift that was so big it completely devoured
Yes.
the spawn. So the only thing that would happen was that you constantly spawning inside a rift and you just dead. Everybody decides they're going to hightail it out of the rift.
Yes.
build this massive ship. The Bermuda
Now you
Triangle.
got it. Now you got it.
Well, I think there's two ways.
Question.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Should happen
You
though
said
in the
that
name of continuity.
You said
once
that-
we go back to ancient world and the
Hey,
updates there,
Eros is trying to speak.
You
I
said
think that
Come on.
Holy shit.
like there should be like something on the oceans, the wide open oceans back on normal ancient world. Once aquatic's done and we're back on the normal, that should represent where the ship vanished.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that.
So you can
Cool.
see like an eye of terror or something.
Yes. Good idea. Remind us about that when we get back.
I will. Instead of
question.
giving our souls to Turf, we accidentally we get on the ship, we're running from this gargantuan rift, and we just pass through the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes. Eris, what did you want to say? I'm sorry to interrupt. Eris, did you want to say something?
You mentioned earlier that there will be no factions, correct? During this time.
Yeah. Well,
Draki-
that was an idea that we've had, and we've also talked about changing the way spawning works. There's not going to be a /spawn. There's the initial
Oh, no.
spawn. Yeah. You guys are going to have to create your own refuges and such. It's not going to be. We're not going to be doing it for you in this place.
Well, okay. Well,
But
yeah,
I thought
we'll-
Oak's Rest was built.
So your factions, Eris, you know, you get back together with them, but it's not going to be the same process as the way it is on the ancient world. It's going to be a
the
little bit
reason
different.
I asked, the reason I
Make
asked
everybody
is
a peaceful faction so they can't PvP.
Turtle, hold
listen, Turtle Shroom, please. If someone else is talking, I would gladly
I
let you
thought
know
I
when
thought
I
they
am.
finished. I'm sorry.
I would gladly let you know when I am done with my curiosity. I have only one. The reason I ask is because when you mentioned there will be no sort of faction-related work, if there was any way we could be able to secure our chests.
Probably
the
something like
impression that-
probably Locket or something like along those lines. I think.
I'm going to use
Very well.
Locket.
The mechanic stuff.
Locket rather than faction.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about
Okay,
mechanics
thank
right
you.
now because it's not mechanics aren't set in stone on how we're going to handle all that. So there'll be more information about that soon on the blog and elsewhere. So keep an eye out for it.
We're working on it. There's
Yeah.
no definite yet, just yet.
Can I suggest an idea for locking stuff and protecting blocks, maybe in DMs or something later?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Would take too long in voice chat. Alright, continue on.
Yeah, so going back to turf and the rifts. So yeah, there was the option. You're gonna have to keep fighting the rifts until March, until this happens. So I don't know how bad it's gonna get with the rifts up until then. Hopefully you guys can keep Fort Oak from being overrun. It's really gonna make the difference whether or not when we come back to the ancient world, we're gonna come back to a destroyed Fort Oak or a Fort Oak that can be replenished and reclaimed.
I had a kind of a question about that. I don't know if it was addressed already and I missed it somewhere in all the talking, but like individual builds that are not at Fort Oak, so I like the Eden Fort. Whenever we do come back, and granted we'll be new, like different people, I guess, RP wise. But are all the builds? I mean, I'm sure all the builds will still be there, but they might be ruins again, or is that what it's going to be?
Some things will be ruins, but not everything. No, the main things that will be ruins. Fort Oak will probably be a ruin, but if you've got a really big, nice castle, it's probably not going to be touched.
So it is still worth it to keep building.
Yeah, yeah.
For the next month.
And because of the inventory wipes, make sure when we get the date down, when we know exactly when we're doing this, make sure you have all your things cleared from your ender chests and placed in chests inside of your castles and such, so that that data isn't lost.
Faction homes. That's it.
That is excellent information. That is exactly what I'd like to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right.
Todd?
Oh, I had a question, just because Salt brought up the keep building, back to the obsidian, or I can't remember, the unbreakable block right now.
Bedrock.
Spacing on it. Bedrock. Those that are just sitting in the middle of a lot of people's bases, how are we supposed to build around that, or fix that in the time being?
Those are just like rifts, right? Rifts form, they die, and after a time they turn to sand and then replenish. It'll be the same thing for the bedrock. They're not permanent. So the best thing I could suggest for the bedrock meteors is just survive them the best you can until they expire, which they will. Hopefully there's not more of them on your base.
Good questions, you guys. Are there more questions?
Yes, maybe one. Just a curiosity if the rifts could be slightly bit more considerate about how and where it emerges. Because, like I said, I've never really witnessed such a large-scale destruction from rifts as it has done to Oak's Rest, where a huge majority of the buildings and surrounding countryside has just been leveled.
So
the original beauty of Oak's Rest is completely gone, and that's a shame, because I feel like you could still do rifts without really removing everything that reminds. So there's something left that you can see that, well, this used to actually be something.
So what you're trying to say is, from what my understanding is, you want rifts to be larger and more devastating, and destroy.
Yes, actually, absolutely. You understood me perfectly.
Because
No, but really, just buildings that people are using, buildings that still serves purposes, buildings that are generally just awe-inspiring to look at.
The Parthenon.
Just gone. Something that future generations of players will never really get to see.
Yeah.
You can still have a devastating surrounding countryside without general structures being just level.
If I may.
Yeah, because I've noticed parts of Oak's Rest rather, that it's not even that the building is ruined or anything. The building's just not even there anymore. Like, there's no foundation. It was just, I don't know if it was world edit or if the ground like ate it, but like the building itself would just be gone. Like there were like buildings to the left of the actual spawn, like carriage, and they're just gone completely now.
Drac, can you explain again about why things are being, devastated and so on? Can you explain part of the story about that?
Well, I mean, honestly, it seems like such a normal thing. It doesn't even seem like anything new to me. Just take a walk around Blue Peaks, take a walk around Molten Valley, those places.
Well, no,
Iron
I understand
Hammer
that.
is
Usually,
a
like,
huge structure, and it's still
yeah,
there.
you'll see the rift arms will go through the buildings, and the building is a ruin itself now because it's destroyed. But at least you can see that a building was there.
Yeah.
And instead of it just being like, now there's a hill here where a 3-story building used to be. I don't know if that was something that meant to happen or.
Well, sometimes when those rift tendrils turn to sand and they come down, they flatten anything underneath. That's usually.
I thought sand I thought how does sand flatten something?
With
It's heavy.
Heavier than you think.
I remember seeing things like, I remember back when I played Minecraft in the early days in 2011, sometimes sand would somehow suspend itself, and when you break one, everything falls, and all the sand would just cover everything.
Now, Turtle, we're part of what we're talking about is not the mechanics of Minecraft, but part of the story. Drac's trying to create a story. He's trying to create drama. He's trying to make it. It is really hard to give up things. When things of mine that were devastated, I had a feeling of like, wow, I worked really hard on that stuff. Oh my gosh, you get the feeling of being so attached to things, even though it's just a game. You get so attached, and so part of the story is to take those things away and to, grow the story into this limbo place we're going to live, and then suddenly there's going to be another island where there's all this beauty and aquatic updates that, where you're seeing things you never saw before. So he's trying to bring it down, and then so that he can bring it back up. Destruction so that you can promote creativity again.
You think it would be possible when the new updates come that go to a whole new world? We're going to spend some time on that. Do you think it could be possible that you could go throughout the old stuff, like the old mainland and such, and put in the new mobs and stuff, and the temples and the desert temples and stuff, and the biomes, like you did with Oakrest being a roof forest? Because I've mentioned that before, and I thought that'd be really cool, that you wouldn't tear anything down, you just put the new stuff in it, intersperse it, as if it was a new map.
Yeah, well, the way we've always done things is, as Lotus was saying, bring it down so we can bring it back up again. That's just how it goes. But I'm hearing what you guys are saying about the destruction, but honestly, it's been a lot worse on this server. And I mean, you could find yourselves inside your base with zombies gnawing their way in, breaking through your ceilings, and just absolute destruction. Back in the Age of Darkness, entire factions were destroyed every day. So I think just be glad that it's not getting that bad right now.
Well, there's a difference between having a few holes in your base and the base suddenly the next day not existing anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if
that
my
part I'm
point
afraid
was,
of. I have no troubles whatsoever leaving buying Foxborough Tavern if I have to. I'm just a bit sad if the tavern itself just ceased to exist at some point, because then you can't go back to it to reminisce.
Well, that's always a possibility.
The first point.
Yeah.
Molten Valley used to be the original spawn, and that's like deep below your feet now if you go back. It's happened sadly before.
And as I was reminded, Drac reminded me, because when I went through my sort of temper tantrum about Oak's Rest, thinking, what happened to all that stuff, but I had a few days, weeks to really think about it, but in some ways, when you take things completely away, it leaves an opportunity for you to create amazing things again. Not the same things, but new and creative things. And if you remember, Oak's Rest, we did it all together. There was a lot of camaraderie. There was a lot of working together and coming up with ideas and stuff. That was a very great creative exercise. So Eris, yes, all the feelings and things that you're saying, I'm sort of thinking about them myself. You're not alone.
I'm gonna have to say though that to me, as Mastermus brought up earlier, to me there's a difference between Rift and the spawn point. Even though the spawn point is huge and beautiful and there's all stuff to it, they're permanent. They have moved. In my time, they have moved within the next 2 years. Port Orange, the old Ironheart, they moved. So a spawn point, I think going forward, we should remember, a spawn point can always get flattened by turf. To me, I understand why you're upset about Oak's Rest being gone, but Oak's Rest is different from your own builds in that Oak's Rest is the spawn point, and that has special story significance, and Turf specifically wants to get it down. So, in my opinion, I think, and this is what Jacortha was saying when he came back on the ruins, he said, your whole world won't be in ruins, but there probably won't be an Oak's Rest as part of the story. But your own castle and stuff is going to be fine. So I think in the future, if you don't want to build, if you be torn down, you want to guarantee it can't be torn down unless a rift actually invades into it, I would suggest building a chunk or two away from spawn.
And yeah, keep up your defenses. And if you guys don't want to see Fort Oak lost, you need to keep fighting. And
so there could still be that little walled place left, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Compromise, though, in my opinion.
There are a lot of people that are here that didn't really talk too much. There's some people that wanted to say something. I want to give you an opportunity now, or I have a question. Because we've got a lot of people here. A lot of people muted, though, unfortunately. Okay. Did we do everything on the board?
Oh, man, we did not.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Yeah,
Drac,
we got everything on the board.
That were written on the board that I hadn't heard discussed. I may have missed it when I was resetting my computer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
About
peaceful factions.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, we're not doing
Okay.
peaceful factions. Yeah.
Well, the main reason I want a peaceful faction is because I come on here to explore and to raid.
Did you say raid and you want peaceful factions?
That's
Sorry, peaceful factions.
Sorry.
I mean, there's a peaceful flag where it makes it so that you can't hit anybody and they can't hit you.
Yeah, you know what? Zay's not here right now, and we've had much discussion about all of that. And
I hate getting
there's
raided
some
when I'm not hostile anymore.
Okay, hold on. There's some problems with it. I can't remember exactly everything, but there's problems with doing that because people use it unfairly. So, is that right, Drac? Am I saying that right, Drac?
Yeah, yeah. It's not. It's a bit too.
For a peaceful faction, like you have to actually file a request for the moderator, and it could be granted, but you can't just undo it when you want to kill somebody. It has to be requested.
Right, and that's the problem is the monitoring that. So, but
all you got to do is make it so that only the administrators can set the peaceful flag.
Yes,
Yeah,
but when someone's made a peaceful faction, it's up to the moderators to moderate it and make sure things are being done properly in terms of the rules. And we've already got enough things to moderate on this server, and to add peaceful factions, it's just another thing on top of other things that we don't have time to deal with.
Don't have quite enough people to manage that, but
it has been
considered.
Constantly picked on by everybody because I can't fight. But it gets really annoying, and that actually leads me to the issue that I think TAW and several other people had written about, talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I get you. I'm not. I'm a peaceful sort of person. I don't like to do PvP too much, and I've lost a lot of my stuff. So I get what you're talking
Raid
about.
it anymore. He doesn't just raid. I mean, like, there's a guy called Great Walrus. He whooped my butt, but he did it fairly. I mean, he was a dirty trick that he tricked me into allying him to get in my house. But it's not like he didn't. It's not like he just randomly declared on me. He wanted my stuff. He took it. But as a comparison, and I'm going to speak for a moment because I brought up the Daniel problem earlier, and this has got to be addressed because he griefed my cousins. He actually griefed them. He shredded all their portals. He tore up 2 of their 3 intricate redstone mechanisms, and then he took all their stuff. My older cousin is on here right now.
Hold on a minute. You know what? Probably this would be. I understand your concerns, and it really, it sounds like a lot of stuff's going on. Probably talking to one of us, talking to Drac privately or to one of us privately would be better. Do you know what I'm saying?
My older cousin's here, so he could do that.
Yeah, instead of at the meeting. But yeah, I don't want to make you feel like you're not being heard, but you are. So, but we need to do it privately.
I understand the priorities. I just want to say though, I'm not going to go into the discussion. I just want to say that Daniel Blood Happy got so mad at Daniel that he set his own house on fire.
Don't bring me into this, mate. Get me out of this shit.
He decided to just quit.
Mute his ass. For the love of God, mute his ass.
Sawyer almost quit completely.
Alright, well, I think that's gonna... So, what do you think, guys? Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? So we've got the information. So we got the information out about Shawcroft, what we're going to be doing.
I have a question. So, why is schematics banned? It's totally for building stuff. That if you can't build well.
Well, I guess I'd say you probably need to get better at building.
Alright, that works.
I don't know, we don't really allow mods like that on the server, just because they can be exploited. I've heard that you can use that mod to steal builds or something. That's what I've been told. I haven't used the mod personally, I have no knowledge of it, but what I've been told from Zay and Fen is that they can be used to steal builds, which is why that mod isn't allowed on the server.
A shame, but alright, that makes sense.
Yeah. Is this Cold Wave talking right now?
No, it's Psycrite.
I'm sorry, who? Okay.
Cold's
Guess
not
why.
in here. I don't know where he is actually.
Okay. Yeah, Cold Wave was banned. He was banned last week for using schematic.
What?
Although it's a mod.
I'm going to ask, when you were talking about the peaceful factions, I think you misunderstand, because peaceful factions, the way they work is they're a flag, and if you set them, you can't hit anyone and they can't hit you. And of course, it's prone to abuse because somebody could unset and get in anywhere. But
I'll give you
I'll
give you an example scenario.
I think you're just putting out the issues with them total.
Okay, so this is an issue that we had in the past when we had peaceful factions, okay? Let's say we make you a peaceful faction, okay, Turtle? Theoretically, you're now a peaceful faction. So everything's good, no one can hit you, you can't hit them, everything's sweet. And then say the Fallen One, he comes up to you and says, "Hey Turtle, can you trade with me?" And you say okay, and Fallen One says, "I want to buy some armor off you, I need some armor, I'll give you 1,000 quartz for a set of diamond armor." And you say okay, and you give him the diamond armor. And then he uses that diamond armor to go kill another player and raid someone. So then that person who got raided is coming to the staff and telling us, Turtle is a peaceful faction, he's trading with raiders and giving them items that they can use to raid people. Another example is, in the past, we've had...
What's that abusive, though? Isn't that part of the economy?
It is a part of the economy, but the thing is, when it comes to a peaceful faction, you could be keeping, 50,000 sets of Prot 4 diamond armor in your base, and you're a peaceful faction, and you're supplying raiders, or you're supplying a faction, and that stuff that you're keeping in that base is untouchable by their enemies.
Proxy war.
Exactly.
I kind of understand that.
And I'm not saying
I
this
understand
is,
what you mean by
and
enforcing that.
and,
Actually, that makes
and
sense.
this is not just theoretical. This has happened many times in the past, and it's the reason why we don't have peaceful factions anymore, because it became too much of a problem.
Way you can prevent people from randomly just. I've been picked on by so many people. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight players. I'm here to build, explore, and raid unclaimed ruins.
And you can do that.
I
you can
just
do
don't
that.
like getting constantly killed.
I don't
Especially
think-
when they spawn camp.
Are you actually constantly killed all the time, or has this happened just a couple times? Because I don't think you're that preyed on, are you?
Was for some time. Daniel, remember, I know I'm bringing him up again. He actually persecuted me for my political views and banned me from the Discord.
Yeah. Well, he's not a moderator
I have
anymore.
been persecuted before.
Yeah.
Daniel actually, particularly, so hard when he tried to. And I know we're going back into discussing this again, but worst thing he ever did to me was he allied me and we were on good terms, and then he kills me. It's in my house, and then he kills me again and again and again. Then he unclaims my land, and he takes the sword off of my wall called Korak's Mercy, which he gave me as a gift. And then he just completely whoops me over and over, and I have to rebuild everything. He didn't take anything but the sword.
Yeah.
He could have asked for it because it was a gift, and then he kills me. That's how he lost his. That's one of the reasons he lost his job. And that's just an example of the abuse he does.
Well, I'm sorry that happened, but that's the way factions works. Don't let people in your base, and if you die, you're going to lose power. So, you want to keep your defenses up. But peaceful faction, I don't know. It just comes with its own problems. I'm sorry. But we can talk about Daniel.
It's hard to enforce.
I'll talk to your cousin about Daniel after the meeting. Okay.
Do you think do you think you could, find somebody that you trust to actually enforce peaceful factions, like another moderator or some deity character?
No. Probably not for now. We're pretty full time on developing the new continent, so.
What about what about if you only gave actually, no, that would never mind, because you never know who you can trust and who you can't. So never mind. I was going to ask you about what if you gave peaceful to people that have demonstrated competence?
Well, that used to be the thing. That was once upon a time, but
I mentioned that to Zay. And all of the things that you're saying, we have discussed. We have sat down and thought about it, but Zay and Fen are working hard. They're doing the best they can, and they can't take on too much.
I get it. I just don't understand the example of abuse you gave, where a peaceful faction just collects stuff and sells them to people.
Yeah. Yes.
For nefarious reasons. I don't really blame the peaceful faction person for making money. I only blame the person that bought the stuff to kill. That's like suing a gun owner because somebody shot up a town.
Yeah, but that's not
Doesn't
good
make any
for.
sense.
But the person who's buying those things off the peaceful player, they have enemies and they want to destroy that stock that he has, because obviously, as someone was saying, proxy war, right? We want things to be fair game for everyone. Everything should be fair game.
Against abuse of that. And there's some people that are just butt munches.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so for everyone who's still listening, more information is going to come out soon about Shorokov Dern, both on the Discord and on the blog. So keep an eye out. There's going to be more details. I know we briefly went over the whole there being no factions and this and that, but nothing is set in stone until we announce it officially in a blog post. So there may be changes between now and then.
Bermuda World have will the Bermuda World have beds where you can sleep in a bed and that becomes your spawn point?
Maybe. I think we're going to do. Does anyone remember the first Dark Moon, where we had those waypoints that you could discover? Anyone?
I kind of remember that.
I don't think I was around for that.
Alright, well basically, with Dark Moon, we had this feature where there were waypoints spread out around Blue Peaks. Let's say there were about 20 waypoints. And some of them were hidden, some of them were easily to find, like on top of hills and such. And when you walk up to it, it unlocks, sort of like you've unlocked a checkpoint. If you ever played Mario or something like that, you unlock a checkpoint.
Bonfire lit.
Bonfire lit. Bonfire lit. That's correct. So when you die, you will be transported to the nearest bonfire that you died near. So we're going to be using this as an alternative to Forge/Spawn, because it's going to allow you guys to build safe zones near these bonfires.
Nice.
So you could choose to build
Just another
a
question
safe
about
haven.
that.
Yeah, sure.
If of course /spawn's not going to be allowed, so the bonfires are going to take its place.
Yeah.
So factions, how do we teleport to our home?
There's
The
gonna be
hardest part of single player for me is getting back, and I can never get back.
I think there's going to be no teleports because it is a continent and it's not as big as the mainland on the ancient world. So if people are willing to build roads or landmarks or ways to traverse, it's going to trump any kind of waypoint system teleporting. It's going to be a bit more.
Multiple bonfires. Can you choose which one to teleport to?
You only teleport to a bonfire when you die. At least that's how it's programmed currently. That might change between now and then, but as it is now,
bonfire to go to. Is it the last one you touch?
No, it's the you teleport to the one you're nearest to when you die. So if you die near the one on the mountain, you'll teleport to the one on the mountain. If you died near the one on the beach, you teleport to the beach. It's the nearest checkpoint that you're standing. Yeah.
Oh, so that way you can recover your stuff better, but that would require a lot of bonfires.
Well, there'll be a sufficient amount of them. I mean, there's not going to be like 100 of them, but we'll make sure each part of the continent is covered well enough.
Chunks per bonfire, like each chunk has a bonfire.
We don't know that. We haven't figured all of that out just this time. But you know what? If you're really interested in it and you want to talk more and help us develop some ideas, that'd be like really great. We'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
The Bermuda Triangle thing.
Yeah, the size, Drac. What size is it? I've asked you this before, but so people understand the size of what we're going to be.
Okay, the size of the continent. Okay, well, it's not as big as Orostar, and it's not quite as small as the original continents. I'd say. Oh, excuse me. If you guys played on Baufel, it might be twice its size of a regular continent.
Kind of like Dagonfell or something.
Yeah, I can get the exact measurements actually right now, so you guys know.
And also, I can't remember if we discussed this. It's going to be very cold, right? And somebody put in chat something about food. Yeah, those things are. You're going to be starting with nothing. So you're going to have to.
You gotta find the zombie.
Yes, you might have to eat zombie meat even. I've never had it, but
Work, though.
I'm going to have to try.
You know what? This
tastes.
You have to build a comfy ass almost spawn like Iron Hammer in the Age of Darkness.
Really cool idea. It's an interesting break.
There'll be some animals. There's not going to be a lot of animals. There's going to be some animals, and there's going to be very, very, very few trees. So that's going to be a challenge.
Okay.
Wood then.
So the size of the continent, it's about 1,000 blocks in diameter.
Okay.
Yes, the coal plug-in is going to be there. You have to get leather.
Are we losing our gear?
I'm sorry, say again?
Plug-in
Yes.
should be so that anybody who has a full suit of armor is protected as long as they're wearing armor.
Yes.
Leather armor.
Yeah. About your items,
Leather
yes.
armor, gold armor, diamonds, turf underpants.
Yes.
There you go.
Items that you have now are going to be lost unless you put them in a chest before we move to the continents. We're going to make sure there's a specific date. It's going to be in March, probably. That's my prediction. But we'll have an exact release date for you shortly. And when we do, that's the date you need to have your stuff in a chest protected. So you don't carry anything on your inventory by that date. Because, like we said, all the things that you're carrying on your inventory right now, it's in something called player data on the server, and that player data is going to be wiped when we move because it resets everything when we go to the continent.
Make sure you back up the server, though. You never know what can go wrong.
Oh,
you're right.
We've got plenty of backups. Yeah.
Only a backup on an external hard drive if you have one. But if it's not too many gigabytes, you should back it up on CDs or DVDs, just in case.
So it's going to be, when you go to this continent, it's going to be a lot of challenges, some things people have never done before. I certainly haven't, and maybe working together, especially in the beginning, and perhaps as we're there for a while, maybe some more things will drop by or become more available, right, Drac? You were saying to me?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be, this is it, and it's never going to change. It's going to be just like the ancient world always has been. It's going to evolve, it's going to change, new things are going to come, and...
Good thing about trees is that once you find one, that's 2 or 3 trees right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Tree farms. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Once the aquatic update has been added and Ancient World's back online and Bermuda World is done, what will happen to Bermuda World?
Bermuda World will be integrated with the Ancient World when that time comes, so you'll see it on the main map.
New continent.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, just
that
like
mean you're going to have to expand the size of the entire server?
Well, that's why.
So
that's
wait.
yeah, we're expanding the Ancient World. Yeah, because they're
Probably
quite.
Great.
Ooh.
Just hope it doesn't affect the existing continents and stuff.
No, it won't. It'll be in its own area. But we're getting more ocean. Because of the aquatic update, there's going to be new coral reefs and things like that. We're going to be generating...
That mean there going to be more underwater temples?
We're going to
need me some prismarine.
We're going to be generating thousands of blocks worth of temples and coral reefs and all the new stuff. It's all going to be there. But...
Desert temples and jungles, because we don't have that many in current Ancient World.
Yeah.
Have the steps and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that does it, guys. We've been doing the server meeting for an hour and a half. That's usually how long they go for. I think we've covered a lot.
Yep. And I want to say, wow, there's so many people here. This is really great. Despite all the drama and all of the, the rifts and stuff. We've got so many people here. Really, it's kind of getting really exciting. I think. I don't know.
I just came for the free
great
food.
idea. It's temporary. All our stuff's still going to be there, but we're going to have a little bit of a time to start new, like we're playing a single player mode with everybody else on it. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and I know we got to end the meeting, but the thing I was thinking is, wow, I'm going to look up a lot of things. Like right now, I take for granted all the things that I have, but you kind of got to look on the internet. How do I manage at a very low level with nothing? You have to
build a
research.
fence?
Yeah, you got to research that and be prepared.
Or know your recipes and such.
Yes.
First thing I'm gonna go is find a tree. That's the first thing I'm doing.
So thank you all so much for coming.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Are our voices recorded on this live thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Like on the
believe
live
so.
stream, is it?
Yeah.
It is.
For people who missed out, they can watch it later on to catch up.
Yes. That's why he does it.
Gonna get that good YouTube money.
Jack Wolf's talking about her voice. I always sounded weird on my own voice because I have a rather deep voice, but I also have an accent.
Let me clarify. Tech Wolf is different than me. Tech Wolf was the one that had a stroke. This is Shiner Miner.
Sorry.
I
I forgot Tech Wolf was the one with the stroke. I'm sorry.
That's alright, we understand. It's ironic that we're both good friends and have these things, but we're okay with it.
You're the one, you're Donna, right?
Yes.
Tech's the one that had the stroke.
Yes.
I was reading Tech was talking about, oh gosh, my voice, so I thought it was like somebody was just hearing their voice. I forgot Tech was the one with the stroke. There's no shame. You shouldn't be ashamed of it, though. No.
I'm used to it. I've been like this for a couple of years. Dex is fairly new, so he's the one that's a little more skittish about things.
That's understandable.
Like I said at the start, there's an old lady at my church that her mother had shaky hands and she stuttered. She's got that as well. It wasn't a stroke. It was just something wrong with her muscles. So this happens, and you eventually get on. Just be glad your mind is fully intact.
Yeah, that's for sure. You are correct.
He's typing in the general
my
chat,
mother's
just so
best
you know.
friend had a stroke, and she is now able to walk again. She can't. She has to drive with one hand, so she has a lever on the steering wheel to steer it like a crank. So it is completely possible to recover from a stroke, and that you can regain your normal stuff if you do it with one hand.
It sure takes a long time, but it should be possible
To the world. My family has a long history of heart disease. My father's father had a heart attack at 35. So this kind of thing is you can beat this. If you want, I'll pray for you.
He's typing in the general chat, but I would say thank you. We would both appreciate that.
I'll definitely pray for you next time I worship.
I don't want to be mean, but there is something so stereotypical about the guy with a, I don't know, southern or something accent being the one who says I'll pray for you. I really don't mean to be mean, it's just...
No, I think we all understand.
Sometimes stereotypes just happen.
Yeah.
I don't think he meant it to be any type of insult or put down. It was just his way of trying to get me to recognize who he was talking about.
Are you talking about me or someone else?
He was referring to you at the time.
I do something wrong?
No. He was talking about what you were saying, but he didn't know who you were by name in the chat.
Yeah,
they call me Turtle Shrew.
Yeah, Turtle Shrew, sorry. No, so sorry, it's just...
Making fun of me asking to pray, or if he's just doing something...
No, Turtle, I'm not making fun, it's just a silly little detail that I noticed that, you know, the combination of, just a stereotype being fulfilled and a funny observation about that. That's all.
That's it.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I get jokes about that. It's just, it's fine.
Turtle is fun, he says.
Sorry.
We're all good, so.
And if you're talking about Linux, no.
We're so glad you're here. We really are. I mean, I haven't talked to you very much, but I've heard a lot good things.
You've heard a lot of good things about me? Surprised me. I thought half the server hated me.
You too. Yeah, of course we love you, Turtle.
I like everyone, so that's just how I am. Unless you really cross me, and then look out, all bets are off. Then the vegetable side gets in, but that's very rare.
I'll have no fury like a woman scorned.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be very true.
I think speak softly and carry a big stick would be another pun you could use.
I've been known to do that too. My son plays on here too, Wild Husker, and he says he always knows when I'm mad because I can't yell. This is as loud as I get, but all I have to do is give him the look.
My mama's a teacher. Has practiced her whole life. She can her fingers so loud that she's in the balcony of the church when I'm an usher or volunteering at the church and I'm at the altar. She can snap her fingers and the entire church turns. All the kids in the church turn around and look at her because she can snap her fingers so loud. So most mamas have something like that they can do. Which made me walk the line. Never succeeded, but she always did.
You guys are so funny.